In the world of sample library development, I think we're getting dangerously close to having everything we could ever really need from sample libraries. Developments in technology have made recording equipment more accessible, and sites like PianoBook have encouraged small creators to come forward and present their ideas to be critiqued and heard by members of the community. And as a composer for Spitfire Audio, I'm always amazed by the creativity of the production team being able to come up with new ideas of sampling every single month without stepping on the toes of their other products. And I, for one, am just glad that I don't have to be in the room to have those conversations, because I think I'd find it really difficult not to feel as if I have to reinvent the wheel with each new product. And one domain in which I think sample libraries are quite saturated is cinematic percussion. I think this was probably one of the easier sample libraries to create back in the day. Percussive one-hits with round robins are much easier and probably cheaper to put together than these libraries that have these sustains with big crossfades between dynamic layers, things like that. That's where you can really hear legato transitions and stuff like that. That's where the technology is still not quite there yet. But percussion, we've had that down for 10 or 15 years. Strike force, heaviosity, hand Zimmer percussion, storm drum, these libraries all tend to kind of serve a similar purpose, which is to add huge impact to those big Hollywood-style scores. From your low taikos through to your thunderous toms and snare drums, all the way up to those rhythmic ticks, those great kind of bits of ear candy that can help add to an action sequence. And these are all really fun, and they come with lots of different mic positions or quirky mixes of different loops or different ways that you can play the instruments. But because so many of these libraries sound similar, I struggle to recommend new cinematic libraries to other people nowadays, because as far as I was concerned, we already had everything that we needed before with those other libraries. So don't take what I'm about to say lightly. Box Factory is a must-have. Now, for those of you who've been following me for a while, you'll know that I'm quite a big fan of Fracture Sounds. I think they create some fantastic products. Will Bedford, the founder of the company, is a really nice guy, and I get on with him well. And every time he comes out with a new library, he kind of pushes it in my direction a little bit early. So I've been playing with this for a little while now. And, when he first said, "Do you want to play with my new cinematic library?" I thought, I was a little bit tentative, because I thought this is, again, such a saturated market. But then he said, "Just so you know, all of the different recordings were created out of 40 cardboard boxes recorded by 6 players in a concert hall." Now, I'm just going to give you a quick kind of play of the ensemble. The patch I've got loaded here is the natural. I'm not going to go through all of the UI and stuff like that, because he's done a fantastic walkthrough on his own YouTube channel, which I'll link down below. But starting from the very bottom, we have the low notes, and then we go all the way up to the top and the high notes. So just have a listen to this. This was made from cardboard boxes. It just seems ridiculous. And apparently the recordings were far less exciting than this. But this has so much packed into it, and we're not even touching the surface. I'll go through the UI in just a moment. You can see here the various recordings, and you can remap them if you want. And of course, within each sample, you can tune them, you can change the volume, the stereo width, the panning, low pass, high pass. You can also adjust the dynamic range and the sample start, so you can get a little bit more musicality in there if you want to. It also then has this epic step sequencer, which really kind of becomes its own. If I just play a note, you can then humanize it a little bit, so we can change the velocity, maybe the timing slightly. And then we can use the mod wheel to adjust what that velocity is. But the thing that really tips it over the edge for me is these filters. And if I go like this, this adjusts the high pass, and then this adjusts the low pass. So if I go like that and then back down again, you'll hear what it does. Now you can change the number of steps this has, so we could bring this down now to say 10 steps. We could push this back out again if we want to. So it kind of sends us into this slightly strange polyrhythm, but we can also change this so that instead of restarting the sequence every time we add a note, it actually continues the sequence. So have a listen to this. And again, this is so easy to do right out of the box. So that's the natural mix. We've also got aggressive, gritty, and snappy. My particular favourite is aggressive. Now in this sculpt section here, we can add some punch if we want to. And of course we've got this mic mix as well, so we can have really, really close. Or we can have all the way up to the far. So if I take this off, you can hear the sound of the room. Now Will was quite careful with this and created a decay trim which allows you to get the sense and the width of the room but without actually hearing that kind of afterglow of all of that room decay. And of course the saturation does what you'd expect it to do. And this squash is a great compressor as well. Now, this ensemble stack allows us to create a little bit more realism with the looseness and the spread and the size of the ensemble. Now, if I go down here to these design drums, these are a little bit more kind of hybrid. And in the same way, we've also got our step sequencer here. And it wouldn't be a cinematic library without the booms and the hits. Have a listen to these. These are just incredible. And the perfect kind of sister to the booms and the hits are these whooshes and risers, which again are awesome. Now the great thing about these is these are actually WAV files in the samples folder, so you could drag them into your own projects and use them, mangle them, warp them if you want to, but also you could probably process these, save them back into the samples folder, and then Box Factory would use its UI and play around with the punch, the decay trim, saturation and squash to kind of mangle those process samples that you've created yourself. You've also got split patches here, which just kind of mean that you can kind of break up the patches a little bit so you don't have to have everything loaded all in one go. Now, I personally think this is one of the best libraries you could buy for cinematic percussion. And I say that as well because of the price. £89 excluding VAT or £119 at the full price after the promo period ends on the 8th of October. Considering this is made literally out of boxes, it's like nothing I've ever heard really. So I thought In order to kind of celebrate the launch of this library and to help Will out a little bit, maybe show you just what it can do, I thought I would just create a very quick kind of rhythm track. And this might also help for anyone who's wondering how I would put together a cinematic percussion soundtrack. So I'm going to start with the very low notes. And just for the interest of time, I'm going to be using just the main instruments here. Let's start with the aggressive and let's just kind of build something up and see what we can make. Okay. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do nice and soft layers here. Great, and let's take that out there. And I'm going to duplicate this. Going to do these quite sparingly. Just to get the rhythms right here, I'm going to add some high notes now. So if I just set up a rhythm track here. That's nice, just a soft undulating layer there. And then you could maybe take some design drums just to kind of accent the particular parts you want. Maybe do another layer here. Let's just duplicate all of this. Do a nice little rhythm track here. And then we could have both of these in at the same time as the rest of our track. Let's split that and then copy this across. That's where we maybe do something cool at the very end. So I find out where that stops. About there. Okay, that's pretty close. Let's just move that over a bit. One bar. So when you put that all together, you get this. Now, I put that together in like 3 minutes or something. It's really, really quick and easy to get started. I really like this library. I think not only for cinematic percussion-led scores, but also for sound design, ear candy, stuff like that. I think I'm going to be returning to this library a lot. Thank you so much to Fracture Sounds for giving me this library for free. And if you want to check out the product, I'm going to leave it linked down below, along with Will Bedford's walkthrough. Congrats, Will, on a great library. I think this is absolutely stellar. Thanks so much for watching, and see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.